Thanks for joining the call today. I'm Tom O'Rourke. I'm the president of the Neponset River Regional Chamber. We're happy to get together today on this call with our partners from the town, from Friends of Norwood Center, and from the Mass Office of Business Development. We've got a few folks, Margaret LaForest, Peter Milano, I see, and Sue Whitaker as well. So thank you for joining us. And Henry Bryson is also on the call from Mass Hire, who works with unemployment issues. So thank you for joining us. And it's as if we all hadn't been through enough the past several months. We get this crazy storm that happens to sit over the town of Norwood and dump nearly 6 inches of rain on everybody in a really short amount of time. So I don't know if I know I was telling Mike, I didn't realize how bad it was until I saw some of the video and saw what had happened in the downtown area to a lot of the residents as well as businesses too. This impacted everybody. It didn't matter whether you're a business or a resident. Folks really had a lot to deal with and have been dealing with a lot. So what we wanted to do today was get together and hear from some of the businesses that have been impacted, hear what you're facing, hear what you need, and also let you know what sort of resources there are available to you to try and help you get through this in the best way possible and with the least economic impact possible. So that's sort of the ground rules for what we were going to go over today. So with that, if it's okay, Margaret, that I turn it over to you to maybe get a little bit from your side on the state level. I do know that the town has been in touch with the governor and other officials at MEMA and FEMA, and if you've got some information there, we'd love to hear it.
No, thanks so much, Tom. And, I was actually anticipating the town officials joining and sharing with that. I know we talked before the holiday and really just wanted to send the message from our agency. For those on the call not familiar, the Mass Office of Business Development is under the Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development, Secretary Mike Keneally. I've been working a lot with Tom and with Paul Halkiotis in the town of Norwood relative to the Reopening Advisory Board that Secretary Keneally co-chairs with the Lieutenant Governor. So we are the agency that is the liaison for businesses like those of you on this call to connect you with the various resources, programs, and grants that the state offers, and be responsive to what your needs are relative to COVID or relative to storms. I myself am a former Quincy City Councilor representing a coastal community, so I have endured and live right here on the waterfront and have endured many flooding scenarios and happy. I know it's hard sometimes. You're on these public forums, so anybody that wants to offline really talk about what your situation is, what the financial impact is, and we're here as a team. Myself, Peter Milano is the senior director of our agency, Sue Whitaker. We all kind of cover your area and are happy to work with you and be there and get you connected to what you need. So we are really wanting to listen. I was really surprised. I had seen Facebook footage, and I'm familiar. I've been to shows at the Norwood Theater. I've been to Napper Tandy's, been to Lewis's. A little bit familiar with your downtown area. And was surprised to hear, heard much news about the hospital. I know the Governor Baker is in communication with the hospital daily. It's been referenced on some of his daily updates, but really was surprised when I heard the impact to the extended Norwood community from my conversations with Tom and Paul last week about homeowners being impacted in the business community, really extending to almost 400 businesses or homes impacted. So we just really wanted to listen and hear. I think when a storm response, people react quickly, get the water out, call their insurance company, call the service masters, but some are able to pivot and get back and get open, and the water's in, water's out, and others not so much. So just really wanted to get that understanding. So if people are willing to share, we really wanted to listen today and then work with you one-on-one to address what your needs are. With that, maybe Peter, do you want to any words you'd like to add, Peter or Sue?
I have nothing else, but thanks, Margaret, for the invite, and hi, Tom, how are you? We just want, we want to see where the Commonwealth and the administration might be able to assist. I know that everybody's experienced some unfortunate additional situations on top of COVID, so we want to make sure we respond to the needs of the town and the business community as well. So I will mostly be in listen mode, but if you need me, I'm happy to speak with anybody.
Excellent. Thank you. Henry, I don't know if you wanted to chime in a little bit from Mass Hire's perspective on some of the resources that are available with you.
Yeah, I can offer a little bit of stuff. I know that I'm really here representing Greg Bunn. He's not available. He's in another Zoom meeting right now. So, and I think he participated in a call last week between Department of Career Services and Tony Mizuko and I think a few other folks. So I think, and the Career Center. So, I mean, we have processes where we can help with regards to the rapid response services that are provided to businesses who might be impacted by events or have significant layoffs. The Career Center is also available to help folks who get furloughed or laid off that need help finding jobs and things like that. There are separate processes that the state follows as far as rapid response to assist businesses and things like that. So that's something we don't get directly involved with. So they really take the lead. The Workforce Board and the Career Centers really work in partnership with the state agencies to provide whatever local services we can provide. We also don't really provide direct services with regard to unemployment or anything like that. We can provide some technical assistance to folks, but we don't have staff. Years ago, there used to be staff in the career centers that provided unemployment services, but that has been the case for probably 10 years. But the Career Center is able to at least provide some technical assistance or some guidance on how to resolve unemployment issues or redirect businesses to the appropriate agencies if they're not able to get some help. So really our role is to support whatever programs we can or activities that may come up that we can help with. We can help facilitate some of the work with rapid response, the state's rapid response team. Our Career Center in Norwood is still closed to the public. It never shut down from a service standpoint. We moved to remote services, but we're not open to take the public in right yet, although we're working to get to that point where we can start to take some folks. The same thing with the Workforce Board. Our office is in Marlboro, but we travel throughout our region, including Norwood. So, whatever assistance we can provide, I mean, we're open to doing that and to helping out as much as we can. So I'm not sure what else maybe you're looking for or what else maybe we can offer to help out. Megan Burke, who's on the call also, she runs the youth services programs out of the board. So she's another representative of the board.
Thanks, Henry. Maybe if I could ask the folks from Mass Hire and the in MOBD to, if you could in the chat, put your contact info in there, if you don't mind. That way, if folks do need to reach out to you later, they can do that. But why don't we, we would like to hear a little bit about what some of the business folks are facing out there. So if you're willing to talk a little bit about how your business got hit, we'll give you a chance to do that, and I'll just kind of go around the screen here. Mike, if you're interested in sharing anything.
Yeah, that'd be great. We obviously discovered it June 28th, and the next morning, actually, we got a call from the alarm company that went off and let us know that there was some serious issues down here. The police came down. There were no issues with that. So since that particular time and going forward, we've had ServPro in here. They've gone ahead and cleaned the entire place up. I've had my handyman in here. We've done a 2.5-foot flood cut around the entire facility here. Some electrical had to be rewired, some other things like that. We're clearing out the entire showroom now. We have a furniture store in case anybody wonders down on Vanderbilt. So we've just pretty much emptied out most of the furniture now. And ServPro will be back here cleaning the carpets, sanitizing, doing all that. So I was interested when I saw Joe Collins's email come out about potential grant program We haven't had any issues getting things done and cleared up, but it's going to cost us anywhere between $12,000 and $15,000 to handle this entire fiasco, if you will. So I was just looking to see if there was some way to get some kind of grant money into the facility to help us, weather this particular part of 2020, along with everything else. So.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And Joe has joined us, so I'll give him a chance in a few minutes to talk a little bit about, what we might be able to do with the town of Norwood. But Tom Crampert, we haven't had the pleasure of meeting, I don't believe, but did you have anything you wanted to add?
Sure. So I'm the pastor at Heritage Baptist Church here on Washington Street, and a similar situation. We came in on Sunday afternoon, and there was the fire department had just gotten here. There was 2.5 feet of standing water in our entire 10,000 square foot building. And on top of that, our entire basement from floor to ceiling was completely submerged. And this all came from obviously the storm. And it looks like it all was kind of a drain off from the parking lot, the town parking lot behind us. So similar to what Mike said, we had a company come in that night, Monday, Tuesday, getting the water out, drying it out. I had a whole bunch of volunteers from our church and from other churches come by, and we got everything cut from 4 feet down, carpets ripped out, anything that was upholstered, those kinds of things basically had to go. And we're looking in the hundreds of thousands of dollars to replace and repair and restore our building. And I guess this is new news to me, but I guess insurance doesn't cover things like this. And they're going to give us $10,000, and we have already spent just nearly 20 in getting rid of the water and getting rid of the debris and everything that was destroyed. So we're desperately looking for some sort of help in some way.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hadn't heard that before, and we'll try to get to some sources of relief for you a little bit later.
Thank you.
Peter McFarland, I see you on there. I don't know if you wanted to add anything. I know your business is out of state, but you live in Norwood. Peter, you're muted if you're trying to talk. All right. I'll go to Julie Vecchio.
Hi. After hearing those two stories, mine doesn't sound nearly as bad, although for me it was quite devastating. We have a tenant upstairs on the second floor, and she had called saying that water was coming in the windows. So we just ran here, and the basement was flooded, had about 4 feet of water, which...
And Julie, your business, I know
I'm sorry, I have a picture frame shop on Central Street across from the parking lot behind Biblos. And so the gallery area took on some water about 2 inches, but thankfully none of the no client artwork or my artwork was hurt at all. Thank God, finished projects. But all my machinery and all my stock and everything else, the water submerged all my machinery. So actually my electrician was just here trying to see if he could salvage anything. Nick and I on Sunday, as soon as the water went down on Monday morning, came back once our sump pump, we have a sump pump, but it didn't, it just was too much water for it to keep up. So the next day, once it all went down, we just pulled everything out and everything was ruined. So we took everything out. It's in behind the shop now, just waiting to get picked up and thrown out. And that's it. But I feel bad for everyone else. I mean, as bad as mine is, it's not, I don't even know what to do. So I'm here cleaning now, the gallery area. I think for me, this was just more of a fact-finding phone call to sort of hear what everyone else is doing and what options are available. We did have Service Pro come in, and they're going to sanitize the basement and all that, but there's really nothing to sanitize because I moved everything out. Everything's junk, so who knows? That's it.
All right. Thanks, Julie.
Thanks.
Jeff Sullivan? Jeff, want to add anything?
Guys, Jeff Sullivan from the Norwood Record. I'm just here taking notes to do a flood update story.
All right, thanks for being with us. And Amanda from the Hampton Inn.
Hi, everyone. Amanda Culhane. I'm the new director of sales at the Hampton Inn in Norwood. I just started at the end of February, a couple weeks before COVID hit. So it's been fun, but we've been open the whole time. It's always a beautiful day here. This is a virtual background. I'm not outside, but we didn't really have much damage inside. A little water in the back office, but that cleaned up fine. It was mostly the outside, the hole where the Route 1 is. All of that dirt just all came down into the parking lot, and pipes were exposed. And I reported it, and they were out there, and it's already all fixed, and all the dirt's cleaned up and everything from the parking lot. So we were lucky in that sense. But if there's, with all the damage going on, if there's teams that are coming in and anyone needs accommodations, we're happy to help. So I'll put my email and contact info in the chat box, but feel free to reach out to me if there's anything that you need.
Thanks, Amanda. Charlotte Walsh has joined us. She's the president of the Friends of Norwood Center and owns a shop downtown. Charlotte, we're just kind of doing a little roundtable, and I'd like to give you a chance to add your thoughts.
Oh, thank you. Hello, Tom. How are you?
Good, good.
Good, good. Yeah. So I just did a very informal kind of walk around that next morning to see, to assess the damage and see how people were doing. And most people were sweeping up and just kind of everyone had spent so much energy and time and resources setting up their outdoor dining areas, and some of those areas for outdoor dining were kind of trashed by the weather. So I spoke with Chef Waleed from Cafe Victoria, and he was putting things back together. And then I went down to Lewis's to stop in and say hello, and they were, just right back at it and putting things back together and opening, for business. It was unbelievable. So I know that my block and the block further up Washington Street where Next Home Realty is, my landlord was kind of on it right away and met me that next morning at the store to go into the basement, which was completely flooded out. But it's a wet basement, and it does get water damage when there's excessive rain. So it was really flooded this time, though. So he got a water remediation crew there that same day on Monday, and they started a pretty thorough cleanup of our whole block in the basement and then down that next block too. So they just finished today. But my store is kind of like the lowest point in my parking lot. And once the storm drain stops receiving water, the water just rises up in the parking lot like a swimming pool. And then it just goes through my back door of my store. So luckily I was at work when the storm hit, and I was able to hold the water back with a shop vac and some towels and a mop and a giant trash can. So I think if I hadn't been at work, the water would have gone into the stockroom and into the sales floor. So I was lucky that I was here. But as far as anyone else on my block, I don't think they had first floor damage.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, we've got Joe Collins and Pat DeShanes from the planning department in the town of Norwood, and I'd be happy to turn it over to either one of you guys to talk a little bit about what the town's response and what you've been doing.
I think the most important thing we're doing right now is we just recently released a grant application, which has been extended to businesses that have experienced some type of damage due to the storm. I put the link to the grant information as well as the application in the chat box. All of you that have experienced any type of damage, please fill out the application. Businesses are rated as a tier 3, which means that you'll basically be the third level of funding. We're first going to look at lower income individuals, the residents at tier 1, and then goes up to tier 3, which is where the business owners will be. I still highly recommend submitting the information just in case there's a chance we can provide you with funding. Take as many photos and keep all your receipts to the best of your ability. The more information we have, the better that we can serve you, and it'll also help us with our audit trail. If you have any questions, please email managers, managers @norwoodma.gov, and we'll do our best to answer your questions as quickly as possible. And if there are any other questions about the flood or the grant applications, I'll be on the call until we're finished.
Thanks, Joe. And Pat, did you want to add anything to that, or?
No, yeah, Joe pretty much covered it. In terms of this flood remediation grant, the manager's office is kind of taking the lead on it, more so than planning. Obviously, we're here to assist any way we can, but Joe's probably more better enabled to answer these questions regarding this grant.
And can I ask you both about the disaster declaration that the town declared? If you know any more about what that might mean in terms of resources, if anything?
It's mostly symbolic at this point. We really, in terms of, I'm assuming you're asking that in order to unlock some insurance funding. And unfortunately, the town's declaration doesn't really do much. We're going to need something from the state or the federal government to really make something happen. I guess that was actually one of the goals of this call, was to try to get a little bit more information to the state in regards to, how many businesses were actually impacted this, because we've heard a lot from the residents, but we haven't heard a ton from businesses that sustained damage from the rainstorm.
Well, I don't know if you heard the first couple of folks who spoke about the impact that they suffered, but it was significant in many thousands of dollars. And I see Peter McFarland asking about Norwood Hospital. Obviously, we all know probably the most significant impact was the fact that the hospital is closed and will be for the foreseeable future, resulting in not only a loss of a lot of jobs, but a lot of economic impact, and of course the medical facility right here in town that serves a pretty big region. So I think the impacts, when you add them all up, are pretty significant. And I'm not sure if there is any threshold that needs to be met, or if there's anything we need to be doing with our state rep and state senator to make things happen, or not.
Yes, please call your state rep and senator. Just explain to them, what you experienced through this rainstorm. Anything we can do to get this information to the state is critical.
All right, that's good to know, and we can certainly help with that. One of the things I can do is share after the call. It might not be till tomorrow because I'm kind of remote right now, but I can share the information on how to contact those folks as well with everybody.
I think that's a really strong message. I think, we learned that in our conversation last week about people assuming, because it was on the news, they understood what the extent of the damage is. To Tom at Heritage Baptist Church, for you, it's really hard because I don't know if I would assume that the area affected, or I'm assuming, is in the flood zone, in potentially requiring flood insurance if you had a federally backed mortgage. But if you're a renter's insurance and not the property owner insurance, or don't have a mortgage, you may not have a flood policy. But one thing that, as you talk about funding, the SBA has that economic injury disaster loan. And while we've been talking a lot about that as a resource relative to COVID, it's important to recognize that faith-based organizations are eligible for that as a funding source, and at a nonprofit rate is like 2.75%. So, you know, I know it's just devastating, and I'm sure the church budget is thin from pre-COVID and already affected, but just I'm happy to help you. We have resource partners, the Small Business Development Center, that can help you through those application process. But I'm happy to talk to you offline on that point as well.
Thanks, Margaret.
Can I
Yeah,
just
the
add-
economic injury disaster loan is something that is, we've talked a lot about it related to COVID, but it is available for stuff like this as well.
Tom, it's Peter Milano once again. I just want to add to what Margaret just said, in that that is that any SBA loans that are awarded would not need to be serviced until January of 2021. So there can be conceivably 5 months of no payments should there be a challenge. And I'd also want to mention that one of our partner agencies is Mass Growth Capital Corp. Now, these loans are not going to be as low cost as SBA loans, but Mass Growth Capital Corp certainly can assist if there's companies that are in need of capital. These can be processed very quickly. I'm very familiar with the team over there. So I would ask that if you have any interest from your constituents, certainly funnel them through Margaret Forrest and Sue Whitaker, and we'll be able to make sure they get attention and get looked at very quickly.
So in the benefit to Mass Growth Capital is one of our partner agencies, and the benefit of working with them on your working capital needs is that they're, you know, for a business that's been a profitable business is now blindsided by, you know, the flood situation and you know, compartmentalized, you know, on top of the COVID situation, is that they'll help you review your financial statements, your cash flow analysis, and what your needs are. And, you know, they have a lot of depth of experience of helping companies get back to their profitable situation. So you're going to get that technical assistance piece in addition to the financial support that you need. So they're a great agency and great partner resource. Happy to set up calls, you know, with any company that's interested.
Great, thanks. So I guess at this point, I'd just kind of like to throw it open to anybody else that might have anything else that they want to add or any questions they might want to ask. Or
Joe, Mike Troya again. You sent me the application to fill out. Again, it's for homeowners and for personal use, not for business necessarily. Should I just do the best I can with that as far as filling it out? Should I use my business tax return, not my personal tax return? Should I kind of make it work?
Yeah, Mike, I highly recommend. The application was definitely set up for homeowners, but you know, business owners are more than welcome to fill out the application and send it in. Just do your best. We realize that it's not set up for a business owner, but just give us all the information you have, and we'll do our best to review them.
Okay.
any other thoughts or concerns or? So as I said, well, a lot of the folks on the call have shared their contact information. If you need additional info from them, I will send out information regarding getting in touch with Rep. Rogers and Senator Rush. And if we can, you know, and certainly the chamber will work and hopefully Friends of Norwood Center will too, to encourage them to work on the disaster declaration and finding a way to get some funds here. Because again, I think Margaret alluded to, it was a storm. It was one of those storms that went through. A lot of towns got some rain and some got some hail, but I don't think anybody got what we got or understood really what Norwood got. And I think we need to make it clear that that there are some folks that are really hurting as a result of this, and we need to try to get some resources here to help you out. Any others before we close it? I don't want to shut anybody out. All right, in that case, thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing your stories and your information. And I know that it's been an incredibly challenging year, and it just became more challenging for many of you. So anything we can do to try to help you out, we want to do it. And we'll continue to work on this, and we'll follow up with more information as we get it. So thank you all for being here, and I wish you the best going forward.